Today, we are taking a really serious, highly analytical look at an incredibly bold and, to be honest, pretty alarming geopolitical forecast.
Yeah, alarming is definitely the right word for it.
We are examining Professor Xian Jiang's recent widely discussed predictions regarding a potential war between the United States and Iran.
Right. And it's not just a standard forecast.
No, not at all. The mission for our time together today is to dissect the underlying logic behind his very specific core assertion.
Which is that the U.S. will actually lose this conflict.
Exactly. The prediction that the U.S. will lose and that this loss will lead to a massive, unprecedented reordering of global hegemony.
It's a huge claim.
It is. And before we go any further, I need to put a very important disclaimer out there for you, the listener.
We really need to be clear about this up front.
The source material we are unpacking today contains highly politically charged claims, some very controversial theories, and partisan accusations.
Including stuff from across the entire political spectrum.
Right, both left-wing and right-wing elements. So we are not taking sides.
Not at all.
Nor are we endorsing any of the political viewpoints or the predictions made in this material. Our goal is strictly to unpack the logic and the arguments the analyst presents.
Just so you can clearly understand the conversation that's happening around this topic right now.
Precisely. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, to really understand Jiang's thesis, we have to start by setting the stage with how he views Iran's overarching strategy.
Yeah, because according to this analysis, they haven't just been reacting to recent headlines.
Not even close. He argues they have spent the last 20 years actively preparing for this exact type of conflict.
20 years.
20 years. And practically speaking, on the ground, the strategy is a pure grinding war of attrition.
Right, and it's not theoretical. The material points out that they've been running extensive practice drills to prepare for this.
Like that 12-day conflict last June.
Exactly. The analysis highlights that as a crucial testing ground. It wasn't just a random skirmish.
No, they were meticulously analyzing the specific strike and defense capabilities of both U.S. and Israeli forces.
Testing response times, radar blind spots.
Interceptor efficiency. They were taking notes. And by utilizing their proxy networks, Jiang argues Iran has been able to thoroughly grasp the American mentality.
So they know brute force won't work.
Right. You can't overpower the American empire, but you can systematically exhaust it.
Which brings us to the core military dilemma in the text. And I have to say, the math of modern warfare here is just staggering.
It's all about the asymmetry of cost.
Yes, the asymmetry of cost. We aren't talking about who has the biggest bombs anymore.
We're talking about who goes bankrupt first.
Exactly. There's a striking visual from the material that perfectly encapsulates this. It describes a recent video showing a single incoming Iranian ballistic missile.
Just one missile?
One missile falling from the sky. And in the video, that one missile is targeted by 11 different interceptors.
Oh, 11.
11. And the truly terrifying part, most of those interceptors completely miss.
And when you break down the financial toll of that exchange, it is wild. The U.S. and its allies are firing interceptors that cost tens of millions of dollars each.
Right.
They are using these incredibly expensive, highly engineered assets to shoot down drones that cost as little as $50,000.
$50,000 against tens of millions.
The math just does not work in favor of the defense.
It's like using a Ferrari to plow a field.
That's a great way to put it.
I mean, sure, the Ferrari is vastly superior in engineering, but it's going to get destroyed doing a job that a cheap, ugly tractor could do all day long.
And Jiang argues that the U.S. military-industrial complex was fundamentally designed for Cold War muscle flexing.
Space races, nuclear deterrence.
Exactly. Building the ultimate Ferrari. It is not built to sustain a drawn-out war against cheap, mass-produced drones.
Yeah.
You can't swat away $50,000 drones with $10 million missiles indefinitely.
We're running out of missiles.
What's fascinating here is how this asymmetry punctures the aura of invincibility that the United States has held for 20 years.
Since the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Right. But when the world watches a piece of plastic and wire force a multi-million-dollar defense grid to exhaust itself, that aura shatters.
It changes the calculus for everyone. But let's shift gears a bit, because the battlefield isn't just airspace.
No, it's the global economy.
Jiang argues Iran is waging war on the entire global economy by specifically targeting the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, the GCC.
Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar.
Right. And you might think the biggest target is oil, but the most alarming vulnerability he points out is water.
Yes, the water infrastructure is incredibly fragile. The GCC relies on desalination plants for roughly 60% of their fresh water.
And the hypothetical he poses is terrifying. Imagine a single $50,000 drone slipping through the defense grid and hitting a major desalination plant in Riyadh.
A city of 10 million people.
10 million people right in the middle of the desert. If that plant goes down, they are completely out of fresh water in just 2 weeks.
It's an absolute existential threat. And this is where Jiang connects the dots to the U.S. economy.
The petrodollar system.
Exactly. The Gulf states are the linchpin of modern American economic stability. They sell oil, get paid in U.S. dollars, and recycle those petrodollars right back into American markets.
And specifically, lately, they've been pouring that money into AI, data centers, chip manufacturing.
They're financing the American AI boom, but we're already seeing the vulnerability play out in real time.
Yeah, Jiang notes that an Amazon data center was actually hit in the UAE recently.
Big tech companies wanted to use the UAE as an investment hub because of cheap energy.
But a drone strike ruins that risk assessment. You can't build the future of AI in a place where a cheap drone can just turn the power off.
Or turn the water off for your workforce.
And this leads to Jiang's most dire economic forecast, the potential collapse of what he calls a financial Ponzi scheme.
Right, if the GCC is under constant bombardment, fighting just to keep their water running.
They won't be able to sell oil, and they definitely won't be financing the US AI boom. They'll need that capital to survive. And if that capital dries up, the AI bubble bursts.
Taking the recycled petrodollars with it.
Meaning the entire US dollar-based reserve system faces a severe crisis. It accelerates the shift toward a multipolar world.
But despite all this systemic risk, Jiang highlights an immense push for regime change in Iran,
which creates a massive ground war dilemma. I mean, early polling data he cites shows 78% of Americans oppose initial strikes on Iran.
There is zero public appetite for a ground war.
But the U.S. goal remains regime change. And Jiang makes a crucial historical point here. There has never been a presidential administration that achieved regime change using air power alone.
You can't topple a government from 30,000 feet.
Exactly. You eventually need boots on the ground.
And the pressure is going to come from the GCC. As they take hits to their infrastructure, Jiang outlines a scenario where they issue a $5 trillion ultimatum to the U.S.
$5 trillion?
Yeah. They'll demand the U.S. either send ground troops to wipe out the Iranian threat or bribe Iran with a $5 trillion indemnity to cease fire.
Now let's play devil's advocate here, because this brings up Saudi Arabia's motivations.
Right.
Jiang references a disputed Washington Post report suggesting Saudi Arabia and Israel actively helped move Trump to attack.
Even though Saudi Arabia internally denied it?
Yeah, they claimed they wanted peace.
But looking strictly at Jiang's logic, why would the Saudis push for a devastating war on their own doorstep?
Well, according to the analysis, it comes down to economic desperation. Saudi Arabia views Iran as a massive existential threat.
A theocracy funding anti-Saudi proxies like the Houthis.
Exactly. But beyond that, the Saudi economy is struggling. They know the oil window is closing, so they've tried to pivot.
Tourism, e-gaming, bringing Ronaldo to play soccer.
Building the neon line city in the desert.
Right.
But Jiang points out these pivots just aren't working fast enough. To survive the post-oil transition, they need total undisputed control of Middle East oil to dictate prices. And they can't have that as long as the Iranian regime exists.
So regime change is highly desirable for their survival.
Okay, so the military warns against it, the math is catastrophic, and the public hates it. So why, according to Jiang, would Donald Trump launch an attack anyway? Here's where it gets really interesting.
Jiang breaks this down into 4 specific factors regarding internal political motivations.
Let's hear them.
Factor 1 is historical imperial hubris. He compares it to empires overextending themselves, pointing specifically to the recent Muro kidnapping operation.
The Muro operation. For context, that was a highly publicized, flawless special forces extraction.
A total textbook win that played great on TV.
An adrenaline rush.
Exactly. Jiang argues that localized victory gave the administration overconfidence. They assume broader invincibility and ignore the gritty reality of the asymmetry of cost.
They think the whole war will be as easy as the Muro extraction.
Right. Then there's factor 2, which is strictly financial and political calculus.
This card is heavy.
It is. Jiang alleges that specific financial incentives overrode the cautious warnings of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
He cites Saudi Arabia investing $2 billion into Jared Kushner's private equity fund.
And Miriam Adelson allegedly pledging $250 million to finance Trump for a 3rd term.
So immense financial backing tipping the scales.
Yeah, and that leads to factor 3, emergency war power.